Yeah. So, for you guys that are listening out there, we Zoom has a 40-minute limit now, so we had to go part one and part two on this bad boy. Good episode brewing here with Zach Hendrickson, and um, where we left off was uh, talking about fulfilling roles, right? And how roles change, and sometimes it's going to be you have a higher, you have a bigger role at first, and then it kind of dwindles down. It can be really hard for guys, right? But when you truly care about the people around you, it's really pretty easy. And you are a good example of that. You really are, and being just a great teammate, and helping guys get better, whether the same age or younger guys, more specifically, doing those little things, whether it's in practice or off the field, whatever it might be, to kind of be a mentor and a leader. And I do think you are a really good example of um, really what it means to be a good teammate. And so, as you were talking about that, you played a lot your first couple of years, and didn't play as much your last 2 years, right? But still played an important part in what we were doing and what we accomplished at the end. So just kind of continue on with that, and talking about fulfilling roles, and how you did that and how maybe you coach that in players now.
Yeah, for sure. It's for me, it was, understanding that there is more. I knew pretty early on, like, I'm not going pro, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not chasing this, you know, MLB dream anymore. I knew that, at one point my cleats were going to be hung up for good. And how can I, and as corny as this is going to sound, because I know we joked about it a little bit here and there, but it was like, it truly was kind of that Kent stock, like, how do you want to be remembered? Like,
man,
you
yeah,
know, I knew I wasn't going to be, I knew I wasn't going to be an All-American. I knew I wasn't going to be, a draft pick or things like that. But so it was more like, how can I leave my mark on this program? And how can I leave a mark on my peers and the guys that I played with? Um, and I think the biggest piece that allowed for that to happen was, Nickel did such a good job of when my role, when I accomplished my role, he was quick to show that, like, hey, like,
hmm,
you did your job. Like,
yeah,
and that was kind of a staple too, where, he was on guys all the time. Like, guy gets a bunt down, absolutely. We're out of the dugout when he comes in, back into the dugout, like the guy just hit a grand slam.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Understanding that, he did that role and he did exactly what he was needed to do at that point to help our team win. Um,
yeah,
and I think coaching that now, um, again, it goes back to, understanding the individual. And quite frankly, like, making sure that you're giving the kid, or the young man what he needs in order to embrace that role. So we do this is something that I've done in years past. It's something I'm going to bring over to Prior Lake too. Like, we do questionnaires for guys, on how they respond to different types of coaching. Are you a guy that needs to be pulled aside and, kind of have your back patted and say, hey man, you're all right, get the next one? Or are you a guy that needs to be, got after a little bit with, in Nickel words, like, do I need to get excited at you? Um, not yell, but I need to get excited at you, and
yeah,
understanding that, not every kid is going to be coached the same way. We're going to coach them. We're going to coach each kid as far as like a time standpoint, goes. We're going to coach each
hmm,
kid hard. Like, and we're going to coach
yeah.
them to be the best of their abilities, but how we deliver that message needs to be different for every kid. Um,
Yeah, and I have a lot of thoughts going through my head, so I have to interrupt you now too. But
yep.
are there times where, you receive the answers on this questionnaire and you're like, I don't know if this kid knows what he needs.
Yeah,
You know what I
for,
mean? Like,
for
and so
sure. And it
that's the
happened this
hard
year.
part, right? That's
Yep.
the hard part.
Yeah, it happened this year. Actually, it happened no more than a few weeks ago. I sent out my initial questionnaire to my Prior Lake guys.
Mhm.
And one of the questions on that questionnaire was, would you rather be a role player on a winning team or a starter on a bad team? And
Good question.
of the 26 guys that I sent it to, I had one response come back and say that he would rather be a starter on a bad team.
That's
Uh,
really good. That's
yeah.
really good. And
And
I
so,
I I had a presentation for my master's program last 2 weeks ago. I asked the question. I was like, if you're a college coach, would you rather have the fifth best player on a 30-win high school baseball team, or would you rather have the best player on like a 5 to 10 win team? You know what I mean? And the answer is pretty easy there. So I
yeah.
like. Sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt
And
again.
so, to me, of course, like with what we're trying to do at Prior Lake, the biggest piece that they're lacking right now is culture. And a little bit of that kind of family atmosphere, if you will, right? It's a very white collar community, where kids have been, afforded a lot of great opportunities as an individual. Um, and so initially that was a huge red flag for me, where I was like, dang,
Yeah.
like, that's not going to fit. That's not going to really fit with our philosophy. It's not going to fit with what we're doing here or what we're trying to do here.
Hmm.
Um, but then I did some reflecting, it's like, okay, I got to meet this kid where he's at.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna force him to drink the water, right? I'm gonna bring him
Hmm.
to water, but understanding. So for me, it was like I started to dig a little deeper into him. Is there, outside pressure from home? Is there some insecurity issues there that he's battling through? Um, and kind of coming to those conclusions and talking with coaches in the area and talking with his peers and his teammates, we established that it is a little bit of an insecurity thing with him.
Hmm.
And he needs that status of, yeah, we suck, but I'm playing every game, I'm a starter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so then now I'm taking my notes and going, okay, this is the type of kid that if he is a role player, you bet your bottom dollar, like I'm going to praise his ass every chance that I get.
100%.
And it's not going to be just me and him. I can't just sit there and praise him, with me. I have to praise him in front of the group,
Hmm.
that because that's what he's longing for, is he's longing for the acceptance, he's longing for the
You want to
um
be liked by
yeah.
people? Like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to feel valued.
Yeah.
I think that's at everybody's core. Like they want to
Normal.
feel valued, right?
Hmm.
And um, he's the type of kid that, yeah, I'm gonna sing his praises when he gets a job done, even if it is
Hmm.
just his role, because that's gonna help him buy into that role a little bit more. Where, we've got other players that he can get a job done. I can go up to him like, hey man, that was big time, like good job. And that's all he
Yeah.
needs. He needs the
Yeah.
the validation from, just one person to see that he's doing it.
Yeah.
But it's such a fine line to walk. Um, because ultimately these kids we have to understand that they are chasing something more, right? And that's the
Yeah.
difference between the high school and the college game, where, there's only a few guys that play in college that are going to go on to get drafted, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they are chasing that a little bit. But I think that team and that family aspect becomes a little bit, and this might be naive of me, but I think guys come to grips with it a little bit as we continue to mature, that, yeah, I'm probably not going pro. Like
Hmm.
I'm gonna live it up and I'm gonna have the best darn 4 years of my life.
Yeah.
Uh, playing with this group, where high school guys is different. That number gets a little bit bigger when guys that are trying to chase the next level. And so it's finding that balance of understanding, and getting them to understand as adolescent men that, when we're good as a team, more people want to come watch good baseball teams than
Correct.
bad baseball teams.
Correct.
Um, and helping the team win only helps everybody from an exposure standpoint. A
Yeah.
college coach is
Exactly.
not going to come watch a two-win team because there's probably one good dude on that team and that's it. Where if we're a team that's winning 13, 14, 15 games in a 20-game season, that's a team with probably quite a few dudes on it. And
Yep.
makes it a lot easier for a coach to make a trip to, Briar Lake and say, hey, I'm going to go watch the Lakers play because they've got some dudes. there.
Yeah, and that only happens when people kids are able to accept their role and commit to being the best at that, right? And I tell people all the time, whenever, and it doesn't come up as often anymore, but we talk about our group that, we won 34 games. It's like we had guys who were the best foul ball chasers, like
Yeah.
Cody Torkelson,
Yeah.
like Phil Lapointe, like being the best hype man of all time.
Duds.
And just like guys being really good at things that just the program needs them to be good at. And it just to be so selfless in that way is just, and again, that's where it all comes together. And like winning, more games is ultimately what's going to get you more opportunities at the next level, if there is a next level. And um, I hope that this podcast reaches some younger players and some high school level players that are able to hear these things and understand what people at higher levels really value, because that's exactly what it is you know
Yeah, and I think it's, even for high school coaches, I think it brings to light a little bit of the art of coaching too.
hmm
And understanding that, like you said, right? Use Phil for an example. A guy was a monster in the dugout. Like
yeah
good, bad, whatever. We knew that Phil was going to be lighthearted and keep us going. Another one, Al Canope. Another
yeah
guy that he pitched once a weekend, right?
hmm
And when he was not pitching, he was the guy in the dugout.
yeah
And that plays and this is more for the high school coaches on, that may be listening, it's something to think about too when you're making your team selections. We've got guys
hmm
that I think are, coming in this year at Prior Lake. We've got some guys that have some talent. They're not the best, and quite frankly, they may not see the varsity field a ton. But they're going to be guys that we keep around the program because they're going to serve a role. They are going to be the
yeah
hype man. They are going to be the guy that, when the waters are choppy and rough, like he's going to keep everybody lighthearted and remind everybody that at the end of the day, that fellas, this is just a game. Like this is not life
yeah
or death. It's a game. And so I think it's important to have that balance too within your rosters. And quite frankly, even in the recruiting, piece of it.
hmm
I know college coaches are, they're looking at guys, how guys take in and out. They're looking at, everything but the statistics of a game, right? And watching
hmm
how he, works in the dugout and how he treats players and families and things like that. Like, there's some value in taking a flyer, on a guy that has some talent, but, it brings more to the table than just being a good baseball player.
yeah
A leader, an encouraging, voice and encouraging presence in the dugout. Um, that can really help some guys that, this is in their minds, this is their life and death. Like that's their
hmm
identity is being a baseball player. Um, when, in the grand scheme of things, you're not going to be a baseball player your entire life. There's more to it
correct
than
yeah
and
yeah
so that would be, even for younger coaches, that's something that I had to learn of, and again, it's a Herb Brooks quote. It's, I'm not looking for the best guys, I'm looking for the right ones. Um,
man, that's money. That's
and
money.
that's something that I think we have to make sure we're keeping at the forefront of our minds. When, in a few months, a lot of us are going to be making some really tough decisions on, kids breaking with certain teams, kids not being part of the program anymore. And doing what we need to do, not only to win baseball games, but to give these kids a great experience because that's what it should be. Yes, it's winning solves a lot of problems. There's no doubt about it. But you can still have a very successful career not winning a state title or not winning a ton of games.
Yeah
And I think that's something that kind of gets lost in the coaching realm of things because it is a little bit of a, win or die kind of,
yeah
mentality at some places. Like if
well
you don't win baseball games, you're not going to have a job anymore.
yeah, and that's when, if you're not winning, that's when people start to see you individually and the group for who you really are. And
Correct.
that can sometimes be ugly, right? Like
Yep.
again, you said it, winning solves a lot of problems. It's true. But part of our experience was like we didn't win and then we figured it out. And that
Yeah.
says a lot about who we are, right? And again, if there's a big difference, man. If you see people struggling and you don't like what's kind of coming out of them at that point, well, then you're not going to like them even if you are winning, more than likely. And man, some really good stuff there. And um, I actually had another thought too. And I think you were talking about culture and um, kind of that family aspect. I think, especially in college, where guys are more independent, I think the time spent together off the field might be the most important thing. Like for our group, I mean, we hung out all the time, and we went to a smaller school. I don't know the enrollment of Luther, but there is big-ish for
Yeah.
a liberal arts school, right? Um, but we chose to hang out with each other like all the time, and it's not the case everywhere, right? And like a lot of teams have cliques and kind of different separate groups, but I think having a group of people who really enjoy being around each other like all the time, it
Yeah.
just goes so far. It goes
Without a
so
doubt.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, we're doing it a little bit now. Right now we call it kind of like it's forced family fun. Um, so a big one of the initiatives that I took, that I'm taking now that I'm at Prior Lake is we've started a event, once we try and do once a month, once every 2 weeks. Laker baseball supporting Lakers. So like we go as a team and we go watch, like we've watched boys hockey. Last night we were at girls basketball. We've got
Excellent.
our adaptive hockey team is on our schedule coming up here in a couple weeks.
By the way, Brainerd High School adaptive floor hockey is one of the best floor hockey programs probably in
I,
the country. They win the
I
state
believe
title
it.
all the time.
I
So,
believe it. So, and that's kind of something that we're trying to do, right? Is
hmm
show these guys like, yeah, like cool. I didn't know I had anything in common with this guy. And now they can talk about it. We also have a group chat with all the players. We do Good News Mondays, where guys can share some highs for the week and get to and share a little bit about themselves.
hmm
To find that common ground with people they may not talk to.
Yeah.
And that goes to start. Sometimes you're going to have to force it a little bit.
Yeah.
You're going to have to force the family fun. You're going to have to force some relationships, but eventually though that tide will change and they become organic.
hmm
And they I don't think they realize why we're doing it. There's always ulterior motives for what we do as coaches.
Yeah.
Um, I think they just think, oh, cool, like we're just gonna go support, other athletics when realistically that's part of it and it's part of being an athlete in college or high school is supporting your peers and the people that you share the weight room with and things like that. But at the same time, it's about establishing and kind of fostering some relationships with the guys that you're going to go to battle with in a few months. Um,
Yeah.
and laying that foundation early instead of trying to do it, March 11th or whenever it is that we start this year. Um, I'm excited to see, some of the benefits of that, and some
hmm
other stuff that we're doing this year. From that family and that kind of that culture aspect is, once a week we do practices or we will do practices where we're not broken up by teams, we're broken up by position group. So we're fortunate at Prior Lake to have quite a few um, practice facilities. Just because we are a big program, we've got 5 teams that we run. So once a week, we're going to have outfielders at one location, infielders at one location, P's and C's at one location. Um, and it allows for some of our underclassmen to work with the upperclassmen and,
Yeah.
not guys to work with varsity guys and show them, even for as a coaching staff too, like we're not just pigeonholed into our team and only care about what our team does, but we're trying to develop the entire program.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah. That's
the
gold,
big,
man. Like the
yeah, go
the
ahead.
the program aspect, like I don't know if people think about, I think about this all the time. And, the head coach that I work for does a really good job of making sure that we're doing everything for the program, not
Yeah,
just the team, right? And the program is what happens on the field, right? But it's also what you do in the classroom. It's how you walk around campus, like how you behave, basically. And to me, that's the definition of culture. It's not, I mean, people like to throw it around like hey, we have a great culture of this and that. Like I think culture is just how you go about your business, whether
for
you're
sure.
playing baseball or whether you're going to the movies or like literally everything, just how you do things. I think it can be simplified down to that, but continue. Sorry.
Yeah, without a doubt. And for us too, and it was something I did at Simile a little bit, and it's kind of taken off a little bit quicker at Prior Lake too. But understanding that, with the high school game, culture and that family aspect has to extend past your high school program. So we do a ton with
Hmm.
our youth teams now too. From the very get-go, I was hired at the beginning of August at Prior Lake, and right away, the first thing that we did was we had guys going out to the youth fall ball practices, like, and being part of that piece of it, right? Our direct
Hmm.
feeder program, and making sure that our guys are giving back to the program that created them and gave them the opportunities.
Hmm.
Again, going back to that character and building the man type thing, like it's important to give back to where you came from. And so a lot of our guys are out doing that too. We've got some other stuff coming down the pipeline this winter with off-season trainings for our youth programs where, we're going to be there. Like the coaching staff is
Yeah.
going to be there. The players are going to be there, showing that, like we were just talking about, it's more than just the varsity program. It's more than just the high school program. Like this is Prior Lake
Yeah.
baseball as a whole, that we are trying to build. And a community that is so ripe with talent and so starving of winning is kind of what we're chasing after here, right? It's coming together as a whole, coming together as a group to ultimately, you know, we're chasing the varsity level, we're chasing the highest title, right? We're chasing a state
Yeah.
championship. Those are the banners, those are the things that are counted. But understanding that the work that goes into making a high school championship team extends way past a freshman. It extends down to a
Yeah.
9-year-old. It extends down into our in-house
Yeah.
program where just being seen does wonders for young kids going, man, like they're here and that's cool.
Hmm.
Like, I want to go up and do that. I want to be part of that someday. Um, and it's how you build your programs in a sport that
Yeah.
ultimately, depending on what numbers you look at in a sport that's dying, that's how you start to build, kids coming back and build your program instead of, man, I had a really bad experience when I was 9, so I'm gonna go play lacrosse or I'm gonna go run track. Um, that's the it's the little things that are the, outside of the X's and O's
Hmm.
that, I think are truly the difference makers in perennial powers versus a team that's good here and there.
Yeah, and that's man, that is so good to hear. Like at the high school level, somebody who truly understands what encompasses an entire program. Because again, I guarantee you that's not the case everywhere. And uh, we've covered a lot of stuff, man, and I think there's some really good content here um, that I hope people take the time to listen to. Um, I want to get to that was fun, but I want to get to the fun part that I have planned too. So um, I threw a little curveball in here at the end as well, or I'll put it in the middle. How about that? But time for maybe some personal questions. Okay,
Yeah, fire
so
away.
being from St. Paul and a couple of Minnesota guys, I figured I would ask you who your favorite Minnesota Twin of all time is.
Williams Astudillo, La Tortuga.
Really, a more recent
He's my
choice
favorite.
there.
Yep, he's my favorite Twins player of all time. I
Wow,
love him. Yep.
I was expecting like Kirby Puckett
Yeah, I didn't.
or even like Jock Jones, maybe like
Yeah, I try to stay
somebody.
away from like the cliche guy, Torrey Hunter,
That's
Joe Meyer,
fair.
Justin Morneau. Um,
Oh, Justin Morneau was good. Yeah,
yeah, La
MVP.
Tortuga was my favorite. I think because it kind of encompassed my playing experience. Like
Yeah.
he's kind of a role guy, kind of bounced around to different positions. I look at my time at Luther. I played catcher, I played first base, I played left field, I played right field. Um, I was a role guy, and it
Yeah.
also helps that, the Willens Asadilla, like a little chubbier. I'm a little chubby, like body type the same. And
Yeah.
the guy just had fun playing. Um, and that's kind of what made me gravitate towards him. I'm like, yeah, that guy's a stud. I love him.
So I actually, in anticipation of this turning into a conversation, I pulled up the 2003 Minnesota Twins roster.
What year? 2003?
2003. So the catcher was AJ Przinsky.
Yep,
Um, do you think you can name some of these some guys on this roster here? Like
probably.
some '03 Twins?
Yeah, Doug Minkiewicz still part of that team.
Yep. Yep.
Louis
He's on there.
Rivas,
Luis Rivas.
Christian Guzman.
Yes.
Let's see. Corey Koski was probably at
That's the
third.
infield. That's the
Yep.
infield. You did it.
Okay.
Outfield.
Oh, Shannon Stewart.
Yeah, but probably not an everyday guy at that point.
Okay.
He's on the
Torrey
roster though.
Hunter, Torrey
Torrey
Hunter,
Hunter. Yep.
Lou Ford, and Jock Jones.
Yeah. Any others?
Uh, yeah, God, that's got to be like Brad Radke, Johan Santana, Eric Milton. Um, Golly, that's got every day. Eddie had to have been on that roster. Eddie Gordado.
Yep, he's on there. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Grant Balfour, remember he?
Oh,
Yeah,
there you
he's on
go.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, that
He's
guy's
the
a
he's the guy
ball.
in the video of like how people are gonna remember baseball in Oakland. He's coming out of the
Yes,
bullpen. He's like
yes, great
going
video.
nuts.
Great video. Guy's a little bit of a
Oh my
psycho,
God,
but
man, this
gotta love
is
that. Um,
I'm looking at this is unbelievable. Juan Rincon, remember him?
there you go. Juan Rincon. Was Jesse Crane part of that roster, or was he
No.
later?
No,
Okay,
he's
he must have.
later. I think he was like Matt Garza and those guys
Yeah.
later
Yep.
on.
Um, God, who was Matthew LeCroy on that team as the DH?
Uh yeah, he was.
Yep.
And
Okay.
he's listed under other positions.
Yep. Um, Man.
Michael Kadire.
Oh, duh. How do you forget about
You're
Cuddy?
missing one other outfielder that played quite a bit.
Let's see, John Jones.
No batting gloves, red hair.
No batting gloves, red hair from '03. I'm drawing a blank.
Bobby Kilty.
Oh, duh. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Bobby.
Man, that's fun. Holy cow. Kyle Loesch, LaTroy Hawkins.
God, yeah. Look at that.
And yeah,
Awesome.
You got Joe Mays early. That's an impressive one. Okay. So that was for all the Minnesota natives that lived through the decade of excellence that was,
Dynasty.
late
Yeah.
90s, early 2000s Twins baseball. That's okay. That was fine. I knew that was going to happen, so I had that pulled up. Um, this is a different sport now. I know you played hockey in high school, so
Yeah,
um, I have a feeling I know the answer because he also went to your high school, but who's your favorite hockey player of all time?
man. Um,
I think this probably isn't the answer. I was going to say Justin Falk because he's
I
South St.
played,
Paul,
yeah, I
but
played with Justin. I
yeah.
did played with him for a year. Great
But
dude.
favorite player of all time though.
Man. Probably gonna go with Bobby Orr.
Yeah, legend. Yeah.
Yeah, a guy that kind of does
Yeah.
it all. Like, there's a reason,
Yeah.
um, they still have I think it's the Bobby Orr hat trick, a goal assist in a fight. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a well-rounded guy, kind of does it all. I would say he's probably up there with one of my favorites. I don't watch a ton of hockey.
Yeah.
I'll watch it if it's on, but I don't go, honestly, I don't
Yeah,
watch a
fair
ton of
enough.
baseball either. Like I
Yeah.
just, the game and you study guys, but yeah, I'd say probably Bobby Orr.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer. Safe answer.
Yeah.
Um, favorite food? Like you got to
Oh
eat
man.
this one meal for the rest of your life. What is it?
Man, that's a deep one. You looking for like a singular food or just like a type of
Uh,
food?
you can answer it however you want.
I'd say
There are no
type of food.
rules.
I'd probably eat Chinese for the rest of my life. I love Chinese food. Good Chinese
That's
food, hard
interesting.
to beat.
Yeah.
Uh, if I had to go one meal for the rest of my life, it would probably be a burger and fries.
Yeah, that's classic.
Like you
Such
just
an
can't.
American.
It is for sure. And it's such a cliche answer, but man, that or my grandma's Spritz cookies. Like those things are, I get them once a year at Christmas. And oh man, if I could probably live on those for the rest of my life too.
That's awesome. I would go steak and eggs with hash browns with Cholula on the hash browns.
Can't
That
beat it.
is
Can't
that's
beat
my
it.
go-to.
Hopefully
Um
Teddy doesn't hear this or if
yeah,
Frank's
he's
is gonna
gonna be mad as
listen.
Franks. I'm gonna make him listen to this.
There
So
you go.
just so he can hear that part. Favorite video game. This can be
Guitar Hero.
of all time.
Guitar Hero.
Wow. That was
Not
quick.
even close. Yeah, not even close.
Wow.
I wasn't a
Man.
huge video games guy. I did have a pretty intense run in my freshman and sophomore year with the NCAA football.
Blake Mullen is doing
Blake
his
Long. Yep, yep.
dynasties. Oh man.
I watched the Akron Zips win a couple of national titles on NCAA. So that was kind of
Uh,
forced upon me. That was a fun one, but yeah, if I Guitar Hero is my favorite without a doubt.
oh. Make sure we send this to the people we mentioned, okay? That
Yes,
he
we're
needs
gonna
to
have
hear that.
to
He needs to hear that. I remember how fired up he would get. You could hear him down the hall.
down the hallway.
You could hear
Yeah,
first floor of Ilva Soccer Hall. You could hear him yelling about the MAC championship.
yep, yep. And when four verts didn't work,
Oh, that's good. Last book you read.
the Matheny Manifesto was the last book I read. Um, and then I'm currently reading Extreme Ownership.
Who's the author of that one?
Of Extreme Ownership,
Yeah.
Jocko Willink.
Okay.
Yeah,
I saw your tweet about
yeah.
book recommendations. Have you read anything by Brene Brown? Like
I have not, but I will put that on my list.
so for my for our graduate program, we read Dare to Lead, um, which I mean I have highlighter on every single page in that, but it's
Yeah,
unbelievable. And then up next for me is I have The Gifts of Imperfection, which was a birthday gift from two of my classmates. Actually, it was really sweet. And then um, Atlas of the Heart. Those are all Brene Brown books. But if you just write her name down,
yeah.
she's awesome, man. And now I'm kind of thinking about all the other books I've read. Anything by Ryan Holiday, a big stoicism guy.
Oh yeah.
So Stillness is the Key or Ego is the Enemy. Those are all good ones. Um, anyway, okay. And then you mentioned this before, you got another kid on the way, but you have any kids or slash pets?
Yeah, I do. So I've got a 2-year-old son named Hank. He's a monster, in the best way possible. We are right in the thick of the terrible twos. He's climbing on everything, he's throwing everything, he's chasing everything. And then we've got another one due in the middle of May. So we'll have two running around. I've also got two dogs. I've got two pit bulls, Gus and Paco. And then my wife, they're not mine because I'm not a big cat guy, but my wife has two cats,
Jeez,
Kaya and Pudgy. So we've got a full household.
man.
But it's my wife is she's got a big heart and hates to see all four of our animals are rescues. We've got Paco Paco and Gus are we affectionately say they're from the discount bin. Because we got them all, we got both of our dogs off of Craigslist.
Wow.
And then Kaya and Pudgy were both rescues as well. So
Wow.
my
Man.
that's my wife's mission in life is to, make sure every animal feels love. And she lets me coach and is the epitome of a coach's wife. So I'm just along for the ride for it. And that's what that's so it fills up our household pretty quick.
Dude, awesome. Again, as I said during our break, man, this is a really, really good episode and excited to share everything with whoever chooses to listen to it, man. And the people in your program, from the coaches to the families to the players are really lucky to have you. And I'm glad we were able to do this. Feels like, well, good on me for scheduling 2 Zoom meetings because I
Yeah,
knew this was going to
that
happen,
was a good
and
call.
we're well over an hour right now. So, um, but no, man, it was really cool to see all the growth that you've had and the success that you're going to continue to have. I know too, and extremely proud of you, brother. And I hope that this isn't the last time we do this. This is a
No,
lot of
we'll
fun.
chat more, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on. I think it's awesome, and I love to support my people in their ventures, and anytime you need to talk shop or you want to talk shop, you know how to get a hold of me.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I'll send you a text and everything when this is up. It'll probably be Wednesday.
Okay.
But man, really good stuff.
I appreciate it, brother.
All right, man. I love you.
All right, love you too. Be good.
See ya.
Goodbye.